Hello, everybody, and welcome back to The Advisor with Stacey Chillemi. Before we begin, I just want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors, iHeartRadio, Speaker, and YouTube for sponsoring this video today. And I'm really excited because on this episode, we're joined by Harrison Smith, and he's the founder and CEO of Based. It's a groundbreaking dating app designed specifically for gay conservatives. Harrison is a licensed therapist, and he's an entrepreneur based in Houston, Texas, and he has created a platform that not only connects individuals with a group, but also incorporates psychology-based tools to promote personal growth and a healthier relationships. Now, through Based, Harrison has aimed to redefine pride and challenge and stereotypes, and in both the mainstream gay and conservative communities. So join us right now because we have Harrison, you're here today, and I'm really excited. I really love this app. I think it's amazing. Can you share with us, the inspiration behind creating Based?
Absolutely. And again, thank you for having me. The reason why I created Based was because as a gay conservative, I've witnessed firsthand how both isolating and hostile the mainstream gay culture can
Mhm.
really be. And I noticed that there really wasn't a space for people like myself, people who are gay and hold conservative values, but don't fit the usual mainstream mold, where we could just be ourselves, especially in relationships, in dating. And so that gap is what ultimately became my mission.
Oh, I love that. Now, how has your background as a licensed mental health counselor influenced your psychology-based tool and your personality assessments to apply for the app?
Well, good question. Because as a therapist, I've seen firsthand, especially with people. I don't primarily see couples, but not every now and then it's not uncommon for a couple to reach out to me and say, "Hey, we want a couples therapy," or one of my individual clients wants to bring their significant other in. And one thing I've noticed in couples therapy, starting from when I first started doing couples, is that ultimately almost always, if not always, ends up being individual therapy somehow, some way. It always goes back to each individual and their own unique set of issues that they brought into the relationship.
Wow.
And so I realized, the inspiration for the personality assessments came from that. How can you find your best partner, be the best you can be in a relationship if you don't have the best relationship with yourself? And so the personality assessments are really geared towards personal growth, both in and out of the relationship.
I love that because it seems like through the assessment, you could really have a better chance of having a healthier relationship with the person that you meet.
Absolutely, yes. And I love the personality assessments because they also give you insights and suggestions on how you can even improve upon certain aspects of your personality or places where you feel like are your weak spots in relationships.
Oh, I like that. Now, could you discuss the challenges and what you faced during the dating app platform that caters to gay conservatives?
In creating based.
Yes.
Yeah, well, some of the challenges that I faced, honestly, I haven't faced that many. But one of the challenges we did face is because there are a lot of other dating apps out there. One of the platforms that I wanted to get on, that we eventually did get on, I don't want to say which one. They gave a lot of pushback, like a lot more pushback than I thought. It actually held us up for a couple of months before we actually were able to do the launch because we weren't sure if we were able to even launch it on this one particular platform.
Right.
But we eventually pushed through, and they originally said it was because their wording was because they said that the dating market was already super saturated, which I can concur to.
Yes.
But they have their guidelines which say like, okay, in order for you to get approved and be on our platform, you have to meet these specific set of guidelines. And it has to be a quality app. It has to be unique, never done before. We met all of those guidelines.
Right.
And so I was not taking no for an answer. And eventually we won that battle. But the support for the app has been so tremendous. Every time I talk to people about the app when I was going to different fundraisers and events, and oh, I forgot the word that I'm looking for, but different events to kind of get feedback and to promote the app. Everyone was just fully supportive of it and really excited about it. So we've gotten more support than anything else.
Oh, I love that. Now, in what ways does Based aim to redefine pride in terms of conviction, values, and being genuine rather than performance and gestures?
Yeah, so one of the things that we experience as gay conservative, and that's one of the things, one of the reasons why I wanted to create the app is because mainstream gay culture, or just, a lot of gays can be quite hostile toward the second you say that you're a Republican or a conservative, you get a lot of backlash. And that's what I experienced, especially when I lived in LA and West Hollywood, when I had my private practice out there, which I still
Yeah.
do remotely. But I had a lot of hostility and tension geared towards me when I was out there, not just when it came to dating, but just in just relationships and friendships and just social settings in general. I've been harassed and kicked out of places and called all sorts of names. People have come and messaged me privately on Instagram saying a lot of very violent and hateful things to me. And so I meet a lot of gay people, and especially out like in the gay bars or in gay settings who will like secretly pull me aside and say, don't tell anybody, but I actually agree with a lot of what you believe in. And I was really disheartened to see that so many of us felt like they couldn't fully be themselves and be authentic within their own community. And so that's why I wanted to create a platform where you don't have to sacrifice who you are. You don't have to hide who you are. You can truly be authentic and just stand in what you believe in and just skip all the other stuff. Because especially when you see dating apps and other platforms, one thing that gay people will commonly see is in people's bios, it'll say, if you're Republican or conservative, don't even bother to match with me. And so, yes, we've seen that. We've seen that quite a bit. And so I'm like, let's just skip that stuff and just get straight to the stuff that matters, which is the relationship and the connectivity without having to worry about all the extra stuff.
I really never got that because I don't understand why people can't have their own opinion and why people there's so much hate in this world. And I just wrote an article about that. I don't get why we can't just believe in what we believe in and someone else can't be okay with that. It's not like we live in a dictatorship world where we all, are afraid to voice our opinion and we have to believe a certain thing. There's no reason why someone next to you can believe, have their own opinion about something and then you have your opinion that shouldn't have to divide you or not bring you together, as a couple because you might be conservative and the other person may not be. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Absolutely. And that's the thing, I'm friends with a lot of my friends are liberal. A lot of my friends are extremely liberal. One of my best friends, I forgive her for it, but she's a communist. Like, and so, but she's one of my best friends. So, I begrudgingly accept that about, no, I'm just kidding. No, but I accept that we have our differences. And it's interesting because I posted something. I was speaking of, I know we talked about Mexico City, me being in Mexico City prior to this, but a month ago, I was in Mexico City and I posted on my Instagram a story, just me hanging out in Mexico City. And this person that I know here in Houston messaged me on it. He sent me a DM and he said, let's just to summarize, he said that it wasn't fair for conservatives to be enjoying their time in Mexico because apparently we all look down on Mexico. And then he went on to insinuate that he hoped that I got essayed or mugged in Mexico City while I was down there. He said it would be a shame to see me on the national news. And I was just like, if this is what, and he was Mexican himself. I'm like, I don't think that of Mexican people, but clearly you do for you to insinuate that, you hope for that to happen. And so it's stuff like that which says, okay, let's just create a space where we don't have to worry about that sort of vitriol when we can just, be ourselves. Because it's not even about base isn't just about being conservative or even being a Republican. It's really about any gay person, male or female, that feels like they just don't fit in the traditional mainstream gay culture where you just think outside of the box and you just don't fit that mold.
Right. Oh, wow. Now, as a licensed therapist and entrepreneur, what motivated you to establish BASED and how has your expertise in addiction recovery and trauma therapy played a role in shaping the app?
Community is was one of the reasons why I wanted to create Base because it's not just about dating as well. It's also about friendships and making connections. One of the other many things that separates us from other dating apps is the fact that we really want to integrate and incorporate deep, meaningful connections and relationships in people's lives. One of the things that I often see, and when I talk to other people, they agree, is that we see in other dating apps, especially in the gay community, is how performative and shallow and hypersexual they are. If those are the things that you're looking for, this is not the app for you. Um,
Right.
really want deep, meaningful relationships, whether it's friendships, romantic relationships, business connections. I really want to install a sense of community within my community.
And I love that because, you're specifically focusing on one specific audience, and that audience is, that's the main thing I hear from so many people is that they want to find deep, meaningful relationships, and that's the biggest problem is that they can't find those meaningful relationships. Most people are going on those apps and a lot of apps, and they're looking for one night stands or they're looking for a friend to, like you have a little, fun with every once in a while, but there's a lot of people who are not looking for that commitment, not looking for deep, meaningful relationships. And, it gets frustrating because there are a lot of people out there that want that and they're having a hard time finding it.
Extremely hard. And to further answer your question, my background as a therapist specializing in PTSD, trauma, depression and anxiety, and OCD, one thing, not even just with those, but really with everything, really, one thing I've seen is overall is loneliness.
Mm.
And people are lacking that deep, meaningful connection. And then it's also kind of spills into their sense of purpose. It's like, well, how do I have a sense of purpose if I don't have anyone to really share my life with or share my sense of purpose with? And so that's why community is so important, and that's why I really wanted to build a foundation on it with this app is because so many, especially my gay clients that are still in California and LA, so many of them they come to me and it's very stereotypical. They have all these friends, they go to all these events, like they're very popular on social media, but they're lonely and they're all telling me, I feel like I don't have any real friends. I feel like I don't really have anyone that really supports me around me. And it's always the same thing. I'm looking for something more. And it's interesting. I'm like, if so many of you are looking for something more, if you only just knew who each other were. Sometimes I wish I could just tell my clients who each other are. And I'm like, oh, you should meet my other client because you guys are looking for the same thing, but I can't do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, loneliness is something that is not just in the gay community. Really, it's an issue that's happening in every demographic.
I agree with you. I've seen so many people trying to find, one person to be either, have that meaningful relationship with, or just find friends and that they can, feel like they can, count on someone that's going to have their back, because like you said, on social media or in certain areas, people will act so friendly when they're out and they'll be someone they're really not. And then all of a sudden, like, let's say if you're going to fall, will those people catch you? Probably not, and those are the people that people want in their lives. They want to know that they have people around them that if you fall, that person's going to try to catch you, and those are the relationships that, people want, whether it's friendship or in an actual relationship. And those are people, it's so hard to find. And I found a lot of people that I spoke with, they fell into depression about that. And, and a lot of people, they said the biggest symptom they had was they were sleeping all the time. They just, they weren't enjoying the quality of life. So they slept their life away. They just locked themselves in their room and they just, were very depressed and they just slept a lot and they just were missing out on life. All because they couldn't find those meaningful relationships. So I think it's so important to have an app like yours out there because I feel that, that's one thing that's so hard for people to really find is those meaningful friendships, relationships, whatever the case may be.
Absolutely. And that's one of the reasons why, again, with the personality assessments, I want you to, people that use the app, again, to really connect with themselves so they can better connect with other people because, this will go into my psychology background. But, one of the things that I see is, we all have this persona, this mask, right, that we wear when we're in public. And a
Yes.
lot of times, especially with like this, like a lot of new age movements, I hear people like let's say like, let's destroy the ego, let's destroy the persona. We actually do need it in order to get through life and to kind of operate through social settings. So you don't necessarily want to destroy it, but one of the biggest mistakes that I see people make is they identify with their persona, this performative mask that they wear. They think it's who they truly are as people. And I think that's one of the places where people really go wrong because they're
Yes.
not being authentic to their true selves. And that's one of the reasons why I really want people to, when they use the app, use the personality assessment so you can really kind of help break down that whatever persona or false perception of yourself that you have and just really get back to being to who you are, who you truly are.
I love that. Now, how did your personal experience as a gay conservative in Los Angeles inspire you to create a space where individuals could, with similar backgrounds, could connect authentically without any judgment?
My own loneliness and isolation when I was out in Los Angeles. Because when I moved to LA, it was like 3 months, perfect timing. It was 3 months before the pandemic. And if you know anything about LA or California in general during the pandemic, I mean, they shut down like more than any place else in the country. And so I moved out there knowing I think one or two people. I didn't really know anybody. And one of my friends, she was jet setting. She was traveling during the pandemic on those stimulus checks. She was not around. So I was there by myself pretty much. And then after the things started to slowly open, again, Donald Trump was running for president, so everything was more hyper political than it typically is. And I just felt like I couldn't really connect with people because I'd be myself and people were always talking about politics. And one thing that I noticed is that because I would just try not to even really state my opinion in certain settings when I was in LA. Um,
Yeah,
One thing I've noticed is that if you're not like outwardly verbally agreeing with them, even if you're just sitting there, like that's a problem. Like they want
yeah,
you to agree with them. And if I'm just sitting there, then like, well, Harrison, why aren't you saying anything? And then I'd be kind of like, well, this is my opinion. And so just my own isolation and struggle finding connection with people in LA is one of the inspirations for me to create this app.
Oh, I love that. Now, what sets Based apart from other dating apps, especially concerning the unique needs and preferences of gay conservatives?
And I think we touched on this a little bit, but it's such an important question. So I love to really get into it again. Is again, other dating apps from me and my friends, what we talk about and what we see is again, the shallowness, the performativeness, and again, especially the hypersexualization of the gay community and other dating apps. And
Hmm.
a lot of us are really over that. And I know you mentioned that before, like a lot of people are looking for those one night stands, those hookups to feel some sort
Yeah,
of connection. And I mean, it's fun in the moment, sure. But oftentimes I talk to people and they feel lonelier leaving this hookup than they did before they even went. And
yeah,
so again, I want to separate ourselves from that again, and that's that hypersexual activity within the gay community is so part of the norm in the mainstream gay culture. That's another aspect of the mainstream gay culture where I'm saying, hey, if that's not where where you fit, you don't fit that usual mold, and that's not where your value lies, then try based and see what you find.
right. I love that. Now, what has been like navigating the process of building this platform that challenges existing narratives in both the tech and the gay dating industries?
Well, it was difficult because again, like for me, I've never created an app before. I didn't even know what even went into creating an app because again, I'm a therapist. I built my own private practice. I
Yeah.
would say, oh, I built my own private practice. Like this will be easy. Um, it was not. It was a completely different ball game, and just I had to really get to know and understand my community more than I ever had before. I've had to understand the tech community more than I obviously ever have before, and how to raise funding and communicate with people and sell myself in a different way than just as a therapist. And people, when you're talking to people in tech, they communicate differently that talk to people in different industries like the mental health industry. So just really kind of revamping and learning how to pivot myself in different environments was a great learning lesson for me.
Wow. Now, how do you handle rejection, like manage backlash and stay true to the mission of Based, especially in the face of adversity and criticism?
Rejection, I tend to, and I actually talk a lot about rejection with a lot of my clients, but I look at rejection not as a negative thing. Rejection is often associated as this negative thing. It means, and it's usually the meaning that people give to it. I'm not good enough, or I don't have this enough, or whatever the case is. I don't look at rejection as a negative thing. I look at it as an opportunity. I look at
Yeah,
it as an opportunity to say, okay, this thing was not for me. Why is that? Maybe I didn't have certain criteria, credentials, or whatever. Okay, cool. Now this thing is telling me it's really a blessing because it's telling me that I need to gain this skill so I can grow as a person. Now, when it
right.
comes to tech or when it comes to my just political beliefs or just life beliefs in general, I've noticed that the more hate I get, typically, not always, but typically means that I'm headed in the right direction.
Yeah.
because if I'm staying firm in what I truly believe in, which is apparently so antithesis and opposite of what this group that hates me so much believes in, then that's an
Right.
indication that I'm going in the right direction according to my values.
I love it. Now, looking ahead, what are your aspirations for Based in terms of promoting freedom, identity, and inclusive space for individuals who to thrive without compromising their beliefs?
Next step for base is I really want to go global. I want to go to different markets because you see this increased rise in conservative values, not just in the US, not even just in communities in the US, but in communities, especially in Europe, South America, especially in gay communities over there as well. And I really want to do the same thing for the gay community here and the conservative gay community here in the US. I want to do the same thing over there because they need it as well, especially the ones that I've been talking to. I do have friends that are overseas because I've spent quite some time in Europe, and it's something that they need as well and that they're looking for.
I think that's awesome. I hear though that they're more open to it. They're they like the dating app system. They want to find people, through dating apps and stuff like that. Like, it's very popular, but they'd rather, because it's very hard sometimes to find people, in person. And sometimes people are shy and sometimes people are, they don't have the courage to go up to somebody because some people, they feel like they're not good enough. Oh, I'll never get that person. That person looks too good. I don't think I can, they're going to say no to me. And so they just already made the decision that that person's going to say no before you even said hello to that person. But when you're on an app, you have more courage to be you because it's so hard sometimes for some people to be face on face and to say what they really want to say. But when you're on an app, it's a little bit easier because you can put everything about yourself on there, and to start a conversation before you meet the person is a little bit less stressful, I think.
Absolutely. And I one of the things I like about personality assessments is again they give the ones that we have on the app is they give insights and guidance into how you can work upon your strengths, even when you're in a public setting, like when you're in person. And so it helps you not just communicate on the app, but also in person, which is equally important, especially when you meet the person, when you finally guys meet each other in person. Because again, we want lasting relationships. So anything that we can do to really get people to motivate them and to really, I guess have the tools to really to become more successful when it comes to lasting, meaningful, deep connections is what we're all about.
I love that. Now, how do you envision the impact of base in reshaping the landscape of the dating apps and creating more welcoming environment for the gay conservatives?
I'm hoping it allows for more authenticity in dating apps because again, just the performativeness and the hypersexuality of a lot of other dating apps gets a little draining. I
Yeah.
kind of not kind of I do have fatigue from it when I'm using those other apps. So I really want people to be more authentic, and just really, just again, just be true to yourself. Let down. One of the things that I see, not just in dating apps, but just in even politics and entertainment, people are looking for authenticity. People want real people. People want to know what your real flaws are. People are getting more and more tired of this performative nature where, you go up in front of a camera or you go and give a speech to somebody and you're always perfect and polished because we know that's not the real you. And
Yeah.
we want connection. And I even tell clients this all the time, but a lot of my clients who feel like they have to be perfectionists because showing vulnerability is seen as weak for a lot of people.
Yes.
We say absolutely, it's absolutely not. I always say it's the opposite. Showing vulnerability is such a sign of strength,
It
and
is.
being perfect, it doesn't really allow you to connect with other people as much because people don't connect with perfection because no one's perfect. People
I was
connect.
just gonna say, yeah. I think, I think that word shouldn't even be in the dictionary because there's no such thing as perfect, but yet so many people try to perceive and try to reach for that goal, but it doesn't exist.
Absolutely. And it really just sets you up for failure because you're never going to reach that level of perfection. So you're just going to constantly let yourself down and then constantly block yourself from building real connections because, again, you're not being authentic within yourself in the moment when you're communicating with someone. And other people, again, they're not going to connect with perfection.
Yes.
I don't connect with perfection. If I see someone that presents themselves that, I'm always like, Okay, what's really going on underneath all this? Is there something? There's something that they're not showing me. And again, I connect with like many other people are craving now. Again, vulnerability and authenticity.
I think when you show your vulnerable self, that's so powerful. I think it shows your strength. It shows courage. And I think people respect that. To be able to show your vulnerability, I think is something that I think people respect because it's not easy to do. It's very hard to do. So when you get to that point where you're strong enough to actually do that, it tells a lot about that person.
Yeah, and that's interestingly enough, when it comes to relationships, one of the reasons why romantic relationships are so important and so transformative for people is because when you truly are in a loving relationship, you let your walls come down, I guess you could say. You truly are allowing this other person to see you for who you truly are. And so you get to see yourself through your true self through the lens of another person, and that begets a lot of growth within people. And so that's another reason why I'm excited for the app. So again, so people can have genuine connections. So again, it's really at the crux of it really is it's just about growth and becoming who you truly are.
Oh, 100%. Now, if you had to take today's conversation and you want to emphasize on some important factors, what are some things today you'd like to emphasize to the listeners?
I would say I know it can be quite, especially in today's culture, I know it can be quite terrifying, standing in your truth and truly being who you are and presenting yourself in an authentic way. And yes, you can get a lot of backlash from that, as I definitely have. But I promise you, there's more support that you will get that you didn't expect than you're going to get backlash. There's more that is going to come to you that is truly for you that you can get by being authentic and by truly just presenting as yourself in public.
I love that. I love that. Now, where can people find your app?
They can find my app on the Apple Store and on the Google Play Store. We are live on both platforms. And if you want more information for my app or the links to go to either platform to download it, you can go on based.com, BAESED, and you will find more information about the app and what our mission is, what we stand for, and then again the links to the Apple Stores and the Google Play Store.
I love it. Well, Harrison, this has been amazing. I thank you so much for coming on the show. I think we touched a lot of bases. Is there anything else that you'd like to add before we leave?
No, just thank you so much for having me on your show. It's been such a pleasure to be here, and I'm so honored.
Oh, thank you so much. And it's been an honor and a pleasure also to have you on our show. And I thank you so much. And I love what you're doing. I think, we need something like this because it's so hard in this today's world to find somebody. And, so many people are looking for the right person. And the key is like what you said before, healthy relationships. Nobody wants to go into a relationship where it's not going to be a healthy, happy relationship and bring joy to the person. And I love that that's your goal. And that means a lot. And so I really admire what you're doing. I wish you the best of success. And I look forward to maybe having you on the show again. And you are just an amazing individual. And thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you so much, and congratulations on the continued success of your show. And I would love to come back.
Oh, I love you to come back also. Well, you have a great day and thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Nice talking to you.
Same here.